Hello and welcome back to the Spin the Rock podcast. I am your host Angel, and with me today are my co-hosts.
Eugene?
And Vaughn.
All right, we skipped a week. I honestly thought skipping a week wouldn't be that bad. I didn't expect for the results that happened to happen, so that's my bad. Um, but first, let's go into the All NBA teams because that was announced and that kind of got some buzz. Some people were salty. Some people were were kind of didn't really care or was happy about it. Do you guys want to talk? Do you want to go to 1 to 3, or do you just want to talk about it in general?
We
Um,
could just
you got it,
go
Vaughn.
down the list of names,
Okay.
and there's like a talking point. Then we can jump in.
All right. So I'll just work my way down then. Starting the first team is Giannis, Luca, Shea, Jokic, and Tatum. And the second team is Brunson, Davis, Durant, Edwards, and Leonard. Third team is Devin Booker, Curry, Halliburton, LeBron James, and DeMontis Sabonis.
There's only really one standout for me here, and it's Kawhi Leonard in second team. I honestly think you can pick any one of the third team and replace him with Kawhi. I know Kawhi's had a good season, but like Halliburton has been one of the best playmakers in the league. He's third team. Steph, despite being on his team not being very good, has been the only reliable one and putting up crazy numbers doing it. Even Devin Booker, kind of similar deal. And of course, we got LeBron, who's like damn near 40, putting up all-star stats. Well, not even all NBA worthy stats. Like just the playmaking alone probably sets him above Kawhi, I would say. And then Domantas Sabonis, I think, broke a record for most double doubles like consecutively.
That's
So
crazy that you say that because a lot of people were salty that Sabonis made it.
that
So many
they're not
people were
watching them.
salty that he made it.
Yeah, I think Sabonis has been underrated his entire career, even
I agree.
on the Thunder. So I think it's just more of people aren't appreciating what he's actually doing, seeing and appreciating what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. I don't agree with those people, but like, it's funny that you pointed him out as being deserving of second over Kawhi because people are mad that he even made third team.
Mhm.
Like, which is insane. I think LeBron should have been second team. It is odd that Kawhi is. I feel like if he was third, no one would even bat an eye. But like
Mm.
the fact that like he was second a lot, that like I feel like I don't wouldn't say he's undeserving of second, but he's definitely like that is kind of generous, and I feel like he gets a lot of praise for how little he does, low key.
Um, I guess for me, kind of along the same lines as Vaughn. Not necessarily putting Kawhi down a team, but it's just interesting to see that the way Halliburton played this season. He's on the third team. Um, can't necessarily say I agree with LeBron or Curry being on the third team. But I guess it just goes to show you, um, you know, the the current state of the league, out with the old, in with the new kind of thing. You know what I mean? Um, Not that that necessarily has anything to do with their play because they were both playing, out of their minds for where their teams were at or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but those are the only thoughts I have on like third team. Second team, I feel like it was kind of a hard choice between for me, Ant and Shea. Although you could interchange them, in my opinion. Um, I feel like Ant had might be a hot take, but a slightly better season than Shea. Only because the Wolves held that one seed for a lot of the season, and I felt like Ant was, uh, like one of probably the most important piece to that, to them doing that. Um, Although I'm not mad at Shea getting into first team because obviously he deserves it as well. Um, I just feel like, in my opinion, Ant edged Shea out a little bit. Other than that, I think Brunson's well deserved. Um, Anthony Davis, well deserved. KD, I mean, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that he played bad, but it's just like he's got to go somewhere.
Mhm.
And then first team is pretty much a given. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the teams.
I see why Shea is up there because I think there's just more MVP buzz around him versus Anthony Edwards, who kind of just wasn't in that conversation, though probably should have been a lot more.
Mhm.
That might be the only thing that edges them out. Like you said, like the Timberwolves had the 1 seed for the longest time,
Mhm.
and they're like what 1 game behind the Thunder. Like they're basically the same
Mhm.
in terms of team success.
I just never
Yeah.
understood why, though, Ant never had the MVP buzz that he should have, though. You know what I mean? Like, he was balling out his mind since the start of the season, and it essentially carried into the playoffs. You know what I mean? He fell off a little bit, but he picked up, really quickly. So I never understood why he never got that buzz like Shea, Nikola, and Luka, especially because Luka was, like 6 seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think part of it also is you look at Shea's team, a young team that's really overachieving right now, versus what it kind of like overshadows a little bit what Anthony Edwards is doing, and that it's basically the same team from last year. They just for some reason clicked, and
Flip the switch.
Yeah.
which I think is a really good feat in itself,
Mhm.
but it just I guess overshadowed by the idea of the young Thunder just scooping up that 1 seed. That's
Right.
probably got to be it.
Especially because they didn't make playoffs or play-ins last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's probably a plethora of things, and probably even more things that, we can't think of or didn't mention. But I don't know. I feel like he just should have got at least a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. If I'm gonna bring up any snubs, I got to be biased here and say Jaylen Brown not be on any All NBA team. Kind of crazy considering you got 2 Lakers, you got 2 Phoenix Suns,
Mhm.
but the best team in the NBA only got 1. Which maybe if you look at the stat sheet alone, you're gonna see that their numbers are better, but that's because they had to do that. Jaylen Brown had to have his stats go down. Well, it's not by like a huge margin, but they did go down only because he's playing with now Drew and Porzingis just to have more team success.
Mhm.
And I'm surprised the media didn't really take that in consideration. It felt like I don't know what the votes were for Jaylen Brown to get All NBA, but obviously it wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's kind of insane that both Kevin Durant and Devin Booker got All NBA, considering how disastrous their season was. And so I agree with you there. I feel like if Devin Booker got replaced with Jaylen Brown, or even even if Kevin Durant got moved down one and Jaylen Brown made second team, I feel like that would make sense because they, like you said, they were the best team in the league, and also it's just like I don't know. It kind of feels weird that 2 Suns made it when they were like not even in the postseason
Mhm.
or at
It's
least
like that.
playoffs.
It's that debate where does an individual stats matter more to an award versus like the team success? Because like a lot of people bring up what's the seed of the MVP, and that's how they decide it. And that's kind of how it felt like this season as well. Or else Anthony Edwards would be more of the conversation.
Jokic winning, bro. I feel like that was kind of fluky. I did not think Jokic was gonna win. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Jokic and I love the Nuggets, and I'm happy he won. But I was kind of shocked that he got a third one. I was like, what the? I could have sworn Shea was gonna win it for sure. The media was on Shea's. They were loving Shea's game. They were loving Shea's game. So I was like, okay, but I guess I don't know. But yeah, I honestly do think it's weird how it's like seeding matters when it's convenient.
Right. Like it makes no sense. I don't understand it because I thought obviously not every time it went to the 1 seed, but 95% of the time.
At least 1 to 3. Like Russ
Yeah.
was the only at least as far as I can remember,
Mhm.
below even 5. He was like what, the 6th seed when he won it.
Weren't they? Well, no, I think they were like 7 or 8, weren't they? Because that game, the last game of the season, they needed to win, which they ended up winning. I think that was to get into the playoffs. I think they were like bottom. I
Yeah.
think.
But that's like the only time I can recall. Usually it's like no one outside the top 3 is like not is MVP. It's usually always top 3 seeds.
Right. And that's why people like say Kobe should have more, because that one Steve Nash stole from Kobe. I forgot what season that was. But because I think Kobe was or the Lakers were like a 3 seed or something, and the Suns were 1, or vice versa, one of the two. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean it happens, but I just don't know when the convenient time, is.
I guess it wasn't convenient enough for Jaylen Brown this time.
Right.
All right, moving on. Some conference finals previews before we get into the actual finals talk. So, of course, the Celtics, they kicked the Pacers' ass 4-0. I mean, of course, Halliburton got injured, but still, I think the closest game was the first game, if I'm not mistaken.
It might have been 1-3, because I remember they had another close game. They had 2 close games.
One into overtime, and one was like Halliburton tripped up and lost the ball and stuff. Or Nemhard, it might have been. But yeah, it was like, I think if you added up like certain shots in clutch time for the Pacers, if they had made like 6 or so shots, they would have been up 3-1. But they were just like such a young and inexperienced team, and the coach was making mistakes that really cost them. Had it just ended up being a sweep in the Celtics' favor.
I'm not gonna lie though, Vaughn, you should be scared, because it should have been an easy sweep. You know what I mean? Like that first game shouldn't have went to overtime, and those games shouldn't have been as close as they were. So I, not even out of bias, I just don't have the Celtics winning the finals, only because not necessarily that they struggled against the Pacers, but the Pacers were actually putting up a fight. You know what I mean? And the Pacers were a 6 seed. So it's like, and the Mavs were 6 seed too. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see who the better duo is.
We will. I mean, at least the Celtics are gonna be well rested, bro.
That's true.
No game went past 5, and then the Heat series, they dominated the Heat series. The Heat got that one. I don't know how, because the rest of the games they lost by 25 plus. And then the Cavs, once again, they somehow, Donovan Mitchell stole them one, and then they got demolished the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So the Celtics are well rested, bro.
Right.
I think Porzingis has had now 2 whole series to just rest. Like they were just taking it easy with him, being careful, and now he's shooting practices, which is nice, because we saw in the Pacers, or at least I was watching games, they would switch Al Horford onto any guard, and Al Horford, very good defender, but he's not as quick as like Andrew Nemhard or any of these guards. So it was like easy money every time they had Al Horford on him. But having Porzingis, who's quicker, taller, just overall faster, it's gonna make at least the defense easier. I just hope he's making shots. If I do have a takeaway from the Pacers, it's that Andrew Nemhard is nice. I won't lie. Like it doesn't matter
I'm telling
Celtics.
you, bro. Andrew Nemhard is a hooper. People just don't know it yet. Bro, he was hooping in college too, bro. Trust.
The Pacers might be a scary team if they can build off of this.
I think they can.
Especially because Siakam, I never doubted Siakam's ability, but like on the Raptors, it kind of like you kind of forgot how good he actually was because of it's like the Raptors. But like once they picked up him and Obi Toppin, their like season did another flip flop, and they started doing good again.
Right.
And like Pascal Siakam and Obi Toppin both had like insane performances throughout this entire playoff run. So like the Pacers might be a scary team if they could actually do something with this instead of like not.
True. And they did all this without Benedict Mathurin, who hopefully comes back from injury and improves
facts.
over the summer. So
Yeah.
that is actually scary for them.
Because now, I mean, I think he was starting this season. So it's like he's going to get his starting position back. Andrew Nembhard coming off the bench, probably even better than he was this year. So, God forbid any injuries or major injuries next season. And if they have like picks in the draft or whatever. But yeah, they could be good, especially with a deep playoff, deep-ish playoff run. They should be good. Miles Turner out the gutter now.
It's such a good payoff for him, a guy we've been saying trade him, get him out of there. And now he finally has success in the playoffs and has like a bright future with this team. So
right.
Respect to him.
I will say I am not as worried as the Celtics as you are, Eugene, just because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I don't want to like skip into the West quite yet. But the Celtics are like kind of consistent, bro. They're super consistent. And the problem with the Timberwolves is none of them were consistent this entire series. I mean, it took Ant since game 6 of the Nuggets to have a good game. So like I'm just saying, like the Celtics, they have that on their side, is that like they've been really consistent and they just randomly pop. Like Al Horford had times where he won the game for them. Derek White has, like Jaylen Brown was the Eastern Conference MVP, like the guy who like was sold last year. Like they're all pretty consistent, and I feel like that could be a problem for the Mavs because the only ones who are consistent on the Mavs are Luka and Kyrie, and that's how they keep winning. Is that Luka and Kyrie haven't had a bad game, and I feel like the Celtics have two of them, like four of them.
Right.
Like all of their starters can do what Luka and Kyrie do.
I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with what you're saying, but we're just giving them more reasons on why they should not lose the finals. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like obviously, all of us said the Celtics will make it to the finals and probably win.
Yeah.
At least they should win on paper.
Because
the whole best team in the league, they finished with the best regular season record. Went through the playoffs. Yeah, exactly. Went through the playoffs. Easy. Boom. So it's like they got the map, the road map. They just gotta, they gotta finish it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like they just might not. You know what I mean? But we'll see. That's not even my Laker bias. That's not, I promise. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited. I'm gonna try and watch every game. But the Mavs got nobody. So
do you want to move to the West or you want to keep talking about the East?
We can move to the West.
Okay. So the matchup that I feel like everyone was excited for, Mavs Timberwolves. I think me and Eugene talked about if it was Mavs Timberwolves, Wolves would win in 6. I think that's what we said. Boy, were we wrong. I don't know what happened, but the Mavs won 4-1, and like, don't let the one give you any ideas. They went up 3-0 in this series. So, what do you think of the series as a whole? I'm sure we have a lot more to talk about compared to the Celtics Pacers.
I mean, like, bro, the Mavs have been written off in every series they've played, and they've won every series they've played. Obviously, you know what I mean? Yeah. They won probably against their arguable hardest opponent first, which was the Clippers. And then they went. Who'd they go against second round?
Thunder. Who did give them some trouble. I do want to say that some people think the Mavs also had an easy run.
No,
Like
not even close.
I don't think it's an easy. Like, yeah, the Thunder are young, but like that doesn't mean they're a bad team.
Right.
Like it's just like that bias of like, oh, they're young, worst team in for worst first seed ever. Like,
Mhm.
no, bro. Like they took them to 6. Like they had that was a tough series for sure.
For both of them,
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
with the Thunder not, having no playoff experience, and then with the Mavs, I figure most of them don't have playoff experience. You got a
Mhm.
finals champion, you know, running the team as the floor general. You got Luka, one of the best in the world, out there hooping or whatever.
Mm.
So it wasn't easy for either one of them. It just so happened, the Mavs just, edged it out. And then I feel like the Wolves just fumbled their own bag,
Yeah, I
So-
don't know what happened. Like I said, it took Ant since like game 6 of the Nuggets. He was bad in game 7. He was bad in the first game of Mavs Timberwolves. He was bad. It took him a while to have a good game.
Mhm.
Like,
Which it's like I don't blame him because obviously you're beaten up, you're tired.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
remember
don't-
seeing like posts on my Instagram literally showing how tired Ant was guarding Kyrie because Kyrie's everywhere and at once.
yeah.
So it's like all of that plays into it, but it's just like I don't know. I'm excited though. I'm excited to see Mavs versus Celtics.
It's just it felt like for the Timberwolves, they didn't change up either their defense or offense enough to like adjust. Like when Anthony Edwards was guarding Kyrie, we saw how exhausted he was, and he's already trying to find his groove on the offensive end. It's not like that was helping him. Like let Jaden McDaniels take that assignment.
And you can't double on the Mavs too.
No.
Like you can't double
Yeah.
Kyrie because then Luke is going to be open, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
even like Rudy Gobert was getting cooked. And like there's that whole debate. What we've been saying for years is he's not good for the playoffs because he's just gonna get switched on, and that's exactly what happened every single time.
Mhm.
At least they should have put Cat or Nas Reed at the center position and make Rudy Gobert like help because Derek Jones Jr. or PJ Washington was always sitting in the corner for Luka or Kyrie to toss him an open three.
yeah.
And if they just like at least switched it up to like take that away, something would have been different. But it just all these games felt like repeat games.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on with the Timberwolves coaching there.
It's crazy too because like I said, like I think their biggest weakness was the inconsistency too. Like none of them were ever on at the same time. It was always like one doing good and the rest doing poor.
Mhm.
And like we saw the one game they won, all of them were inconsistent. Or all of them were consistent and they won that game. Like so I just feel like if they just found their groove, it would have been closer, but they just never did. And when they did, it was too late. It was way too late. And then like they went into game 5, and it happened again. They were down by 20 almost the entire game.
Mhm.
And so
But I just to go back to the Celtics real quick too, like you were saying earlier, Angel, like I don't even know if it's that the Celtics as a team are consistent, but it's just they have good enough players, good enough players. So it's like if JT doesn't do good, they got JB. If JB doesn't do good, they got Derek White. They got Al Horford. They got Porzingis, Drew Holiday. You know what I mean? Like the list
that's what I
goes on and
mean.
on.
That's what I mean. Like with the Timberwolves, that's what I mean though too, is that like the Celtics can afford like one guy. Like it's also like the Mavs also have random role players who just pop off. The Celtics have that too. Like that's what I mean. It's like everything the Celtics and like the Timberwolves, like if you compare them, all the reasons why they lost, the Celtics
Have
have, and they're like they're gonna like that's why I think they're gonna win because all like the Timberwolves are inconsistent. Well, the Celtics have nothing but consistency. The Timberwolves didn't have like a solid bench, which I saw some people say, "Oh, well, the Celtics have a deep bench." Oh, they're not good at switching. The Celtics are amazing at switching. Like every time someone's like points out a negative about the Timberwolves, the Celtics like can like succeed at that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So it's like it makes sense, and then a part of that, this whole Celtics squad has barely changed, and if it has changed, those players have been in the playoffs. So it's like they know the pressure of the playoffs, and they're able to perform to the best of their ability. So it's like I think, and Drew Holiday's the champion, so it's like he's literally been here before.
I mean, Jaylen Brown, and I think everyone, it was Brown, Tatum, Horford, like majority of the squad are still here from when they lost to the Warriors.
Right, exactly.
So like they have finals experience. Yeah. So like I think the only reason why the Celtics will lose is because they just, I don't know. I feel like if they lose,
they beat themselves.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
Right.
Or mistakes and just like not trying to focus. They're gonna focus a little too less on Luka and Kyrie. I feel like you got to stop one of them. You can't ignore, like with Jokic, you can ignore Jokic because the other guys, they will do bad if like they have pressure on them.
Right.
But like Luka and Kyrie, you can't focus on one or the other. Like you have to focus on both of them because they're both gonna drop 30, and that's 60 points just right there.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard to game plan against them because it's like they're two primary ball handlers. You know what I mean? They're basically 2 point guards, just one's bigger. So it's like I said, also you can't really double them. Although, with Drew Holiday being, one of the best, arguably the best perimeter defender, wherever you want to categorize him at, in the league, he can clamp up one of them, whether that's Kyrie or Luka. But then it's like, who are you going to put on the other? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's Derek White also at All NBA defensive team, and if they have to switch, it's Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, lengthy wings, who know how to play defense. Yeah,
right.
I was gonna say, I think Holiday and White should just focus on Kyrie because then that's two players back to back. Like, Holiday's coming off. Oh, here comes White. Like he's gonna shut you. You know what I mean? Or like, or like if they're both like. I don't know, like, because there are times where, like, if they're both on the floor, that's even worse for Kyrie. Because, like, oh, I'd lost Holiday. Oh, here he is. Here's White. Like, so, like, I don't know. I feel like the main issue is trying to shut down Luka without ignoring Kyrie. That's gonna be the problem.
I feel like shut down is very different for these two players because they're both probably going to score 30 no matter what.
Yeah, slow down.
Are they going to have more turnovers and assists? Are they going to have any assists in the fourth quarter? Are they driving in and kicking out to an open man for three? It's just taking those things away.
Yeah, instead of like 4 for 5 from the three and like 9 for 8 from the 8 for 9 from the field, make it like not 7 for 14 and like 2 for 6. Like make it hard. Don't like make it so easy. Because shut down. Like they're not gonna shut them down. Slow them down. Make them shoot more. Like shoot themselves out of the game. Kind of like what the Mavs did to Kawhi when they rushed him back to the field. They kind of made Kawhi shoot more, which made the Clippers lose. Right. So I feel like they kind of have to do that. The Celtics have to do that to at least to somewhat effectiveness against both of them. Because like just one of them is gonna win a game. The fact that they're both so consistent right now is like scary, bro.
I think since they're so capable, I think it's a win if they force the Mavericks to play hero ball for large chunks of the game.
Yeah,
those guys will probably make really tough shots, but if the rest of the team isn't clicking, then there's no way they're going to win 4 games against the team.
I'm just do you guys what do you guys think about the narrative of Kyrie back in Boston? Do you like that or do you think it's overdone already?
They're pushing it so much. Like Kyrie doesn't look like he cares. Obviously, the Celtics as a team doesn't really care because he was their teammate.
Yeah.
It's all like the media stoking the fan base versus Kyrie.
Right.
It could have been any other one of the Western Conference teams. It doesn't really matter to me. The only thing I really want to see is just Al Horford hoisting that trophy over his head because he's been a Celtic ever since I've been a fan. The man has been through thick and thin. He's seen all the highs, all the lows. I need to see Al Horford with that trophy.
Also, Al Horford's been in the league for a long ass time too. So like if he gets a championship as a starter, that's gonna be insane, bro. Because that might not ever happen for him again. Like, yeah, I'm excited. Do you want to do predictions or do you want to talk more about like the matchup itself?
You could just kick us off with what you want to talk about.
Okay, so first off, let's just go into predictions. Who do you think is winning and how many games? I'll just go first so you guys can think. I think it's gonna be Celtics in 6. I honestly like their own worst enemy is them. I honestly think they should and will beat the Mavs in 6. If they don't and the Mavs somehow win, or if it even like a close 7-game series, I think that's gonna be like hard for me to fathom.
Yeah, because again, like I'm not saying by any means that it's going to be an easy series, unless the Celtics prove us otherwise. But yeah, I agree with Celtics in 6. If it goes 7 or if it's a hard fought 6, I'm gonna be like, what are the Celtics doing? But yeah, I feel like 6 is fair. I think the Mavs could take one in TD Garden. Will they? I don't know. But I feel like they can take one at least away and then one at home. Although I really do want to see Luka and Kyrie win.
Yeah, I feel like Celtics in 6 is a safe answer because what it feels like with the Celtics is they get a blowout loss and they'll come back with a blowout win. So it'd be like 1-1 at some point. And then the Mavericks are definitely capable in the fourth quarter and they could win a close one. But I think the rest just go to the Celtics. I fear what the fans will say to Kyrie once he goes to TD Garden.
Oh, bro. They're gonna say the most heinous. They're gonna bring back slurs from like the 1800s, bro.
It's gonna be bad, bro.
It's gonna be awful. That's the one narrative, and it's not even the narrative the media is pushing. That's the one narrative I do agree with, is that the fans are gonna be like the most heinous people in the United States during that series, bro. They're gonna be awful.
Yeah, so I mean, they're just gonna antagonize Kyrie, and he's gonna be the villain. Well, he'd actually be the hero in that scenario. Let's be honest.
Right.
Win that game.
He'll be the villain in Boston, but the hero everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my Celtics in 6 is, I do agree, is the safe answer because like that's really what it should. Will it happen? I honestly don't know. The Mavs, I did not expect them to make it this far at all. And then like their players, PJ Washington was a Hornet, kind of flew underneath the radar. All of a sudden, is just performing, and like their rookie also is like also kind of a solid piece too. So it's like I don't know what we'll get from this series, honestly.
Yeah, because like we mentioned already, Drew's a champion. A lot of that Celtics core has been to the finals already. But this is PJ Washington's first playoffs. Derek Lively is a literal rookie. You had Dante Exum, has never had this success in playoffs.
Well,
there's a lot
NBA
of-
success. I think he's been to a EuroLeague championship, but
Ooh, ooh.
hey, EuroLeague still lit, bro.
So there's a lot of question marks on the Mavericks roster. I mean, we know Kyrie is a champion. Luka was Euro MVP, probably a Euro champion, I think. And I don't see him shying away from anything.
He has also carried them to a conference finals before. So,
so those aren't the question marks. It's just the rest of the guys. Like, are they going to show up? Because we've seen Jarrett Allen last year say the lights were too bright. Is that going to be the case for some of these guys? Couldn't tell you, but it is.
I think it may be because some of them live on social media. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I honestly, hopefully it's a good series. The first game is Thursday, which is insane how far away it is. So we will be able.
They were really expecting not a sweep or a gentleman's sweep in these conference finals. Like, they were really hoping they could stretch a few more games for sure.
So by Sunday we'll only have seen game 1 next week because game 2 is. Why is there 2 days? You know what? I'm not gonna argue. So it's Thursday then Sunday. So we won't see game 2 until after the pod is already filmed and out. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. You won't hear our thought. You'll only hear our thoughts about game 1.
or should we wait and watch game 2?
We could do that, but
yeah, we could.
We're completely different time zones, all 3 of us.
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll only be if we do film that week, we will only have seen game 1. So it's really gonna we're really gonna be in the dark for this series for a long time. Anything else you guys want to talk about? We all said game 6 Celtics.
I don't know. I mean, I think it should be pretty good. The Celtics all around are better, have been better. The Mavs are in for a dogfight. I just hope we get a good series, you know?
Yeah. I guess I could bring out coaching. It's an interesting dynamic that Joe Mazzulla is pretty young in his head coaching career, and then Jason Kidd has been on the Nets, the Bucks, and now the Mavericks. We all know he was a very intelligent basketball player, but I think through these playoffs, he's been a very brilliant schemer for offense and defense. So if it all goes well, it could be like a chess match between these coaches.
Yeah.
So that could be an interesting aspect as well.
And it's always interesting too, like seeing player coaches, just like, or not player coaches, but former players turn coaches. Yeah. How they perform as a coach too, because like obviously like Steve Kerr, I'm not gonna say had it handed to him, but had it handed to him, you know what I mean? Mark Jackson essentially built Curry and Clay, and then Kerr just capitalized on it per se. But then you got like Doc Rivers, who is living off of his one chip. You got Phil Jackson, bro got 11 rings between being a player and coach. So it's cool to see Jason Kidd in this scenario. Just see how well he lives up to it.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting series for sure. I hope it's fun. I don't think it won't. Like, it's just really like the question mark is the Mavs. Like, and how
they've been to go to a few episodes back about it was probably like our playoff preview. Our biggest question mark, they've probably been the biggest question mark through the entire playoffs, and they've proved everyone wrong. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens.
It's like in every series, there's like a point of attack they could do. Like they could force Westbrook to get the ball away from him and make him shoot. Little things like that in the Clippers, or the same thing kind of happened with Josh Giddey is he could not shoot to save his life, and he had to have the ball in his hands. And if they didn't, he was not doing good.
Mhm.
Obviously, we had the Timberwolves series switch onto Rudy Gobert, so I wonder what they're going to plan for the Celtics. I'm already ready for a Porzingis getting switched on Luka and Luka hitting something crazy. That's going to be a highlight. I can tell you right now. So I'm actually I don't think I've been this excited for a game of basketball since the Warriors Celtics finals. Like I'm getting antsy, and we got such a
Because your
long
team
wait.
actually made it, bro.
Right. It was like I got so lucky with the Timberwolves being my wheel spin team. I got to have both my teams go so deep in the finals. It's so fun to watch. So
You know what's crazy? We started the podcast the last time the Celtics were in the finals.
Yeah.
Our first episode was like a couple weeks after the Warriors won.
Yeah, that's
So this is kind of like full circle moment right here, bro.
okay, last year Nuggets win. All right, this year Celtics win. Next year
Lakers.
year.
JJ Redick leads the Lakers to a ring. They hop on the podcast, open a bottle of wine, and talk about their playoff run. Oh, man. All right. I think that's what we're going to call it. If you're listening on any podcast platform, make sure you leave us a good old 5 stars. Let us know down who do you think is going to win, the Celtics or the Mavs. Leave us a good old review as well. We're on YouTube for video format, so make sure you like and subscribe there. And we're also on all social media platforms at Spin the Rock. Thank you for listening. And I don't know if we'll see you again next week. Maybe.